I'm going to show you how you can create a pivot table from multiple sheets in Microsoft Excel. In this lesson, I have two similar worksheets that show the sales of a fictional fast food restaurant. One sheet is for the sales in the United States, and the other for the Canadian sales. Both worksheets have the same column headers. Technically, I could simply cut and paste the values from one worksheet into the other, and then it would be easy to create a pivot table from one worksheet. However, I've purposely changed the order of the column headers for French fries and milkshakes so that cutting and pasting would be a little more inconvenient. This is probably a more likely scenario when you're using worksheets prepared by different people. On the United States worksheet, the French fries are in the fourth column. And, on the Canada worksheet, the milkshakes are in the fourth column. I changed the order to demonstrate that as long as the column headings are the same, the order doesn't matter if you want to create a pivot table from multiple sheets. The first thing I want to do is to name the tables. In the United States worksheet, I'll highlight the table and then click on the Table Tools tab in the ribbon. Over on the left, I'll change the table name value to USA. Next, in the Canada worksheet, I'll do the same thing, but this time, I'll change the table name to Canada. Now, let's combine the data from the two worksheets. To do this, I'll click on the Data tab in the ribbon. In the Get and Transform Data area, I'll choose From Table or Range, and it will launch a Power Query window. Since I launched this from the Canada worksheet, I can see the data for Canada. Next, I notice that the sales figures are only numbers and not in currency format. To fix this, I'll highlight the four sales columns and then right-click. I'll choose Change Type and select Currency. Now, let's connect the United States worksheet. If I look on the right at the Applied Steps areas, I can see Source and then Change Type. This refers to me first connecting to the Canada worksheet, and then I change the format of the sales columns to currency. If I click on Source, I can see a formula right here. It seems pretty simple. It references a current workbook, and most important to me, the table name of Canada. So, you may be thinking to yourself that if you could just make a copy of this and change the name to USA, you'd be set. Very good. To do this, I'm going to right-click on the Canada name in the queries. I'll choose the duplicate option. I now have Canada, and then Canada 2. Two Canada entries seems kind of odd, so let's right-click on the Canada 2 and rename it to USA. Now, if I highlight USA, and then click on Source over on the right, we see a familiar formula. I'm going to change it from Canada to USA. The next step is to append Canada and the USA together. In the upper left of the menu, I'm going to click on Close and Load. From the drop-down menu, I'll choose Close and Load to. From the pop-up dialog, I'll choose Only Create Connection, and then click OK. On the right, we can see that the two tables are now connected. If I click on either of them, it will open a Power Query Editor window. I can now append the queries together. In the menu, I'll click on Append Queries. Then, Append Queries as New. An Append dialog box opens that will allow us to concatenate the two tables into one. The first table, Canada, is already selected. All I have to do is select USA for the second table and then click OK. Now, in the Power Query Editor window, we now see a third query called Append 1. I'm going to rename it to Combined. Now, I'm going to close and load once again, and click on Close and Load to again. However, this time I'm going to select Pivot Table Report. In the Pivot Table Fields area, I can now select all of the data points and I'll have the total of all the different food item sales showing in my pivot table. However, I'd like to break out the sales for Canada and the USA separately. Do you remember earlier in the lesson where I mentioned that as long as the column headings are the same in our tables, the order didn't matter? Well, I'm going to add a country column to each of my worksheets. I'll begin in the USA worksheet. I'll right-click on the table and choose Insert Column to the left. Next, I'll name the column name to Country. In the January row, I'll type USA and then copy it to the remaining rows. Now, I'll do the same thing in the Canada worksheet. Now, I'll go back to our combined worksheet. Then make sure I've clicked on a cell within the pivot table. Then I'll go to the Pivot Table Tools tab, and in the Pivot Table Analyze sub-tab, click on Refresh. I can now see Country in the Pivot Table Fields area. Now, I can click on it and it updates my pivot table. This is one of those instances where the first time you see it done, it seems complicated. But once you do it a couple of times, combining multiple worksheets in a pivot table becomes quite easy. If you found this video helpful, check out these other pivot table videos.